And so, the idea is that these two characters of ourselves, will subconsciously meet for the first time somnambulistically, as in sleepwalking. And there's going to be some large table, where the umbrella meets a sewing machine, and littered with photos, these images of the montage. And they're going to somehow sort of half knowingly and half not knowingly, like this, almost like sleepwalking, put them together, and so at the end of the scene you have the montage. So that's the idea. So we need obviously some indoor set free from wind or anything else that's going to disturb the work, the performance. And also we need a third person to film the whole thing, because we'll be acting. So that's where Bettina comes in. So I'm thinking Bettina and her apartment. So that's the idea. It would just be a sort of, and she'll have to orchestrate this, otherwise we'll just sort of bump into each other. Somehow, these two bodies moving in space, talking about cyclogeography, and ending up, ridiculously, ludicrously, this montage. So, order comes out of chaos. That's the idea.
Okay, so what we need to do then is print off then all the pictures.
Right. Or not. I mean, we could just have scraps of paper. But yeah, okay. But no, you're right. I mean, for great authenticity, yeah, print off how many images there were.
Because I think
maybe, and have camera shots of obviously the images lying on the table. And maybe some shots of, like, I don't know, images in our minds or whatever, or shots of Parkdale. Well, no, those are the images. Why shoot them again? That's ridiculous. You just have these images of Parkdale on the table, and then we sort of lumber in, half asleep, from the opposite end of the room, and mumble something. We sort of say our characteristic phrases. I say something like "Caramba, Santiago," and maybe you're singing your song. Remember the song you're singing last night?
Mm-hmm.
So work on that, so that, and you sing your song, and then we sort of like "Caramba, Santiago," you sing your song, and then we're roughly, shuffling around the images, and then somehow magically, at the end, the camera focuses on the finished montage, and then the dream dissolves. So that's how I figure it could be done. I think Bettina would be directing us as we stumble around, so we don't stumble around. We'd have to maybe choreograph it a bit too, so we don't just bump into things randomly. So, Jared, what do you think? That's the idea.
Okay, but we're both there.
Yes, yes.
So we sort of meet and we go through, and
I think that what
as if like we're making a collage together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we make the montage.
Yeah.
That's the collage, yeah. But we're not aware that we're doing it. I mean, we're not really aware. We're sort of in a dreamlike state. In this sort of dreamlike state, we sort of see or perceive each other as the other, which is ourselves in some way. I think this collaboration, with your image in it as well, somewhere, shows that we're together, that we're sort of parts of the same self in a way, or the same spirit. Thus the community. So communing with the spirit of the place, which of course is the plot of this plotless film.
Right.
So that's why it's dramatically, the division of the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it could add to it though if we do it outside.
Okay.
And even if stuff blows around, then it seems more that the images themselves are animated.
Oh, interesting.
Say they sort of blow around and we're trying to figure it out. You know, the same way that you could say that the mind, there's a certain unconsciousness
But
that you know, the mind is blown by the leaves, you could say.
Okay. But okay, so we won't be completely blind, literally.
But I just think it would feel, I think we could really pull it off without having to be like in Bettina's apartment.
Okay.
And then also too, I think it could actually end up being kind of boring for her just sitting watching us do this scene. But we could get her involved for something more that she's actively participating in.
Well, maybe she's, I don't know, drawing something. I mean, maybe it's like some sort of grand architectural plan that, yeah, that she's drawing, or I don't know. Well, we'd have to sort of figure how she comes into all this. But okay, fine. So, if that's the case, I mean, it could be in your backyard.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And there is that table there at the parasol. So that would be the table of assemblage.
Well, in a way, what we could do is that, you know, Bettina plays a character that brings us together. Like we both on our wandering come across an image or object or something. Underneath it, there's an address.
Oh, okay. But maybe it's like a discarded drawing of hers.
Sure. Or we could let her draw something.
Well, exactly, right.
You know, like we could say, hold on, just go a bit farther. I'm not on the road here.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she draws something, so it's her drawing.
Yeah.
We find it sort of crumpled up somewhere.
Well, not necessarily crumpled up, because, you know, it has to catch our attention. So maybe it's like, really on display somehow.
Oh. Like a letter that's concealed in full view.
Yeah.
Okay, purloined letter. Okay. So right, so they both see this while they're wandering about. Interesting.
So it's almost like we both find an invitation, a little bit like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So we're invited to this midnight rendezvous. And we're both sort of interested in the spirit of things and knowledge, so obviously we both attend. Or maybe it's in our dreams and we dream-like attend. Because we're half conscious. We don't really know that we're there, but that can be worked out, I think. That's not a big deal. Okay, so the interesting question then would be how to, or just to set things up, so that we can find a place, like as we're going now here, where we might safely put the paper so that we bump into it.
Well, the neighborhood is really, you know, as big as our imagination lets it be in terms of where it could be.
That's true. Okay. So how about... well, let's put our minds to it here. I mean, I love these graffitis, or these drawings. Like that, for example. So, maybe we could put something around there. Maybe it could be part of the drawing that somehow comes off, or...
Okay, can I get a cinnamon sugar? A coffee cake?
So what would that be? E-filing here. All right, I'll go into my rant. Only the shadow knows. Yes, that thought has been haunting me for these past few days as I feel more and more the presence of this other. I know he is out there. I have this image of a disembodied handlebar mustache promoting, shouting out the will to power. So I know there's someone out there waiting for me threatening the security of my identity as the all-knowing philosopher. This more contemplative soul. But only the shadow knows. Knowledge is shadowy, is it? No, it isn't. It must have objective and fixed values. No shadows whatsoever. We must banish the shadows, for shadows are ignorance. And as conquistadors of knowledge, we must know. Otherwise, what's the point? How can it be? How can knowledge be a game of light and shadow? Never! Santiago Caramba! We must go forth and banish the shadows from our consciousness. We must be in the pure sunlight of reason. Yes, reason. Reason in the pure sunlight of reason. We must think. We must banish the ghosts. We must know. But this figure, this shadowy figure who lurks in the darkness with his Nietzschean mustache, he knows maybe something I do not know. I must find out. I must wrest him out of the shadows and see who or what this mind is. No, never. I must conquer whatever that is. But really, what does it come down to? That I am a poor knight of the Dame of Wisdom. Queen Isabella, who sent me off to discover the New World and conquer it for the greater glory of Spain. She is my Madonna. She is my goddess. How can I disappoint her? Yes, I must remain true to the vision of positivist knowledge that reality is objective and fixed. For that must be the goal, that we must stand in the light of the form, as Plato said. Only then can we be said to know. And those Derridians and those Marxists who talk about delaying and difference of identity, of historicizing tendencies that take the substance out of substance, that render substance insubstantial. These are jokers in the wild pack of cards. As a wild card, they must not be allowed to conquer and be victorious. We must discover their nefarious plots and uncover them. This is my sacred vow to the King and Queen of Spain, as I, conquistador of knowledge, will forever be on guard for the right and the true. But, to be honest, I must admit, that is a hard life indeed, to be a conquistador of knowledge. That to be resolute and determined of will all the time to fight against those enemies who seek to drag knowledge back into the darkness out of which it comes. Yes, I must pursue these cretins, these malcontents. I must ruthlessly and relentlessly take them by their throats and strangle them if I have to. I must show them who is indeed in charge here. But not me, not my ego. It is the truth that is in charge, of course. It is the truth with the shining lance and the glorious horse that continually I ride upon. But as I look upon Parkdale, this great city, I see how blind it is, how ignorant it is, and how I, Dr. Carlos Popper, positivist par excellence, has been sent here to liberate the poor, benighted, besotted souls who inhabit this blasted burg. So I swear, as a good positivist, that I shall always strive to liberate those in the trammels of ignorance from their ignorance. I, who have experienced the light of positive truth, of fixed and objective value, I shall go back into the cave and bring out these wretched refuse who have so far been untouched by the glorious truth of positivism. I shall not be dissuaded by the difficulties. And what are these difficulties? Oh, those who think that the populace, the people, decide, that the people by votes say what the truth is. I have but such sympathy for the people, but the people must not decide. The truth must decide, for people can be wrought up and captured by their passions and feelings and appetites. No! The truth requires the liberation from all appetite, from all passion, to be gloriously ensconced in the ethereal realm of pure and abstract thought. This is where the truth lies, my friends, and this truth I shall bring to the benighted citizens of this blasted burg, Parkdale, to show them that, indeed, the reality of what is. The people are like these poor pigeons who simply feed upon whatever bit of crumbs are thrown to them, without any real sense of the flight, of the transcendent quality of truth. Oh, these poor creatures who simply take advantage of their wings, but know not where the wings come from. These creatures who simply use their wings, flopping away, their opinions flopping away, whereas, as Socrates taught us, we must fix the opinions so that do not fly away, but that they remain fixed and firm so that we can give an account of them. Thus, my dear pigeons, the need for method. We must have method, my dear pigeons, in order to systemically nail down and hold the truth fast to the ground. Otherwise, my dear bird, the truth, like you, just flies away and none can account for it. Lost and gone. But we here, we, conquistadors of knowledge, we are the ones whose task, noble as it is, and yet how it is such a quest, such a torture at times. But we conquistadors of knowledge, we must hold down the truth, make it fast so it cannot simply fly away.